Yeah. Yo, sometimes you gotta go to war for what you believe in. Sometimes you gotta go to war for what it is that you want, what you see that's right. I'm about to go to war, but lyrically. War cry, baby. Yeah. Hey yo, war cries echoes in the background. That's the sound of soldiers getting ripped up and tore down. Lyrically dismantle metaphors and manhandle. Marauder with me.
Welcome to another edition of Impose My Will podcast. I'm your host, Ramone. With me, my brother, my other host, Joe. How you doing, my man?
Man, we doing good, brother. How you?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. I'm trying to stay warm, stay out this blizzard. You know how it go. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, man, so we are on the eve, so to speak, not exactly the eve, but we're getting close to what is being called
Like
on
card of the
paper.
century.
Yeah, I was gonna say on paper, the card of the century, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of these fights on this card could be a main event in its own right. It's Riyadh, um, you know, Turkey Al Sheikh. What they call him, Your Highness? No, they don't call him Your Highness. They call him Your Majesty. I don't know what they call him. They call him something. He's royal, right?
Turkey out of
No,
Sheik, I know that.
yeah, Turkey Al Sheikh. No disrespect to him, but
Mm-hmm.
he out here, he's out here hitting home runs, bro.
Oh,
You know what
100%.
I mean? Left and right, he hitting home runs. He getting deals done. You know, he's liked by a lot of people, disliked by some people. But if you're a fan of the sport, I think for the most part you're happy. I think there's one aspect that people might not be happy about. We'll get into that. Um, but for the most part, we're getting big fights. We're starting to get the ones that we want. We're also getting fights that we didn't ask for, but we're pretty cool with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, i.e., Bud Canelo. You know, we ain't asked for that, but we all right with that. You know, you know what I mean. So, big card, man. Coming up, it's going to be February 22nd. So that's next Saturday. Here's the caveat, though, ladies and gentlemen. If you live in the United States, this card is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Or Riyadh, I'm sorry, Saudi Arabia, which means the time difference is totally different. It ain't even like UK. The main card, according to DAZN's website, official website, says that it starts at 11 a.m., which means the prelims start earlier. So if you want to catch this thing, it's going to be an early one. So typically, if it's like 11 a.m. where the card starts, I'm thinking that the main event is gonna, and I'm just gonna check and see if they actually have like, because they'll usually have what time the main event starts, which I don't see it at this moment. But I would have to think that the main event would start somewhere around 4 o'clock, 3 or 4 o'clock. The reason, or even later, and the reason being is because the main card is huge, so it's a lot of fights on this main
Mm-hmm.
card. But cats can get knocked out left and right, so so we'll see. Um, Joe, I'm gonna run it down, man, and then we'll get into it. I want to start from the bottom to the top. So on this card, this card is called the Last Crescendo Riyadh season card. So on the main card, we have Joshua Baltzy versus Callum Smith. Everybody knows who Callum Smith is. We've seen him in there with Canelo. Z Zhang versus Caballel. We got Virgil Ortiz versus Israel Madrimov. Carlos Adames versus Hamza Sharez. We got Shakur Stevenson versus Floyd Schofield. We got Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker. And then our main event, which is Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially card of the century, definitely on paper. Crazy card. How you feeling? What's your thoughts, bro?
Man, I'm excited about this card. It's a handful of fights I'm excited about seeing.
Yeah.
Um,
Tell me,
obviously
what
the
you
Shakur, yeah,
want?
obviously the Shakur Stevenson versus Schofield. You get to see Zilly Zhang bounce back.
Right.
The Virgil Ortiz Ezra Madrimov is probably one of the fights that's up there very high for me to see. Obviously, the Daniel Dubois, Joseph Parker, and
Yep.
then the Bivol versus Beterbiev. That rematch is going to be bananas.
It's gonna be
So,
big.
yeah, got to tune in. Got to get ready. It's going to be
Gotta
a
get
good one.
ready. Gotta tune in. Let's jump into, and we'll just touch on them because we don't want to overdo the time, but I do want to touch on a few of them. I
Right.
want to touch on Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker. Tell me, what's your thoughts on that fight? How you feeling about that one, especially where uh, Daniel Dubois is currently at, what he's currently done? You know what I mean? Being a champ now, knocking
Mm-hmm.
um, Anthony Joshua out. Did he knock him out? I got a bad memory, y'all. I'm sorry, I'll be forgetting, but he
Anthony
won.
Joshua, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
He definitely knocked him
yeah.
out.
Oh, he did. As a matter of fact, yeah, because he was being backed
Yeah.
up. He was being backed up in Denny Hills. Yeah. So
I
yeah.
remember
So he was
I
being
got the
backed up.
phone call from you when he got knocked
That's
out.
right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So
But,
so just him,
mhm.
and of course his last fight too. What Dubois just really kind of really showing what he got and showing who he is,
Yes.
and kind of digged himself out of that hole. How you
Mhm.
feeling about this fight, man?
Yo, I'm very excited for the fight for two major things. One,
Mm,
I think this is Dubois. You got a lot of fighters right now, I would say,
yeah.
as hitting their prime or they're
Mm,
shining very brightly.
yeah.
Daniel Dubois is one of those fighters.
Yeah.
A lot of technique, a lot of grit. He's fierce right now,
Mm,
hungry, young and hungry on top of that.
yeah.
So you're seeing a heavyweight version, I would say, of a, like a Keyshawn Davis, that energy and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
So yeah, he's I'm about to say, honestly, I believe he's about to make a run
Yeah.
um in the heavyweight division. Joseph
Mm,
Parker, obviously, is a solid fighter.
yeah. Mm,
Um, yeah, he brings a lot to the table. I think he's little shadowed a little bit due to the other fighters. You know what I'm saying? I think they got a little bit more star
mm,
quality to them,
mm,
a little bit more outspoken. But if you watch any of the press conferences leading up to this, the face to face off between Dubois and Joseph Parker,
yeah.
you can see that he's hungry too with this
Yeah.
match here. But styles make fights, and I think this is going to be one of those ones that you don't want to miss out on.
Man, I'm with you. I think honestly with Daniel Dubois, this is high risk. I would assume high reward because it's a Riyadh card, and
Hmm.
we know Turkey Al Sheikh pays well. But he could have held out on this fight. He could have sat back and said, "Nah, I'm waiting for the bigger opportunities. I just beat AJ, right? I'm waiting for a bigger opportunity, maybe a bigger bag." But shout out to him for
Hmm.
jumping back in. He's one of those guys who, if it's up to him, he don't want to be too inactive. He wants to be out there. Only
Right.
thing is, Joseph Parker ain't no walk in the park for nobody. As a matter of fact,
Mm-mm.
if you go back a little bit, Joseph Parker has beaten a lot of the names. You see what he did with Deontay Wilder. They had a magnificent game plan for
Right.
Deontay Wilder. He just beat Zhang. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He beat Chisora. He beat a lot of them. He beat Andy Ruiz. I mean, it's a lot of big names under his belt, and he has a lot of experience because of that. And he's seen a lot of different styles, and I think that might carry him in this fight. So, dope fight. Um, Daniel Dubois, I'm I'm happy you took this one, but this is a dangerous fight that you
Definitely is.
didn't have to take. But shout out to him for being a warrior. You know what I mean? Um,
Uh-huh.
firefight, man. This is gonna be a crazy one, man. Um, let's jump over to to our guy, man, Shakur Stevenson versus
Oh
Floyd
yeah.
Schofield, man. I know this was one of the ones that you're waiting for. We've spoken. You
Hmm.
had some interesting takes on this, man. Break that down for us.
Yeah, obviously we know Shakur Stevenson is, what I'm saying, highly talked about
Yeah.
when we talk about boxing. Great defensive fighter.
Hmm.
Um, you know, flashy, not a lot of power to him, but he's a fighter that you can't deny at all. Floyd Schofield is, I'm not gonna lie, one of my young favorites. Watching and seeing him come up, and a lot of people don't really know too much about him. But this
Right.
kid got grit. He
Mm.
hungry. Still, you know what I'm saying? You can see some minor flaws in his game. Being a newer fighter, a younger fighter, you want to, compare it to somebody like Shakur, who's been fighting, since a very young age. But you got power versus finesse.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Mm.
mean, this is going to be one of those games. But then IQ is going to play a big difference. And, just speaking like that off rip, I know a lot of people are siding with Shakur.
Right.
You know what I mean? But one of the things that you heard, even Tank's coach, Coach Kenny, was talking about it recently too. And me and you talked about it. I don't think this is going to be an easy fight for Shakur.
Mm.
For the simple fact, Floyd Schofield got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And, if he gets knocked back, he's going to adapt to come back at you.
Right.
So when we start talking about power, Shakur is lacking that right now with his hands. We don't know where it's going to be at, but we already know he don't have a lot of power. Like I said, just finesse. And I think this is going to be a fight that could potentially go 12 rounds.
Mhm.
But if Schofield catches him, it could end early, y'all. And I'm
Yeah.
going to be honest with that. This is going to be one to test Shakur's jaw if he'll really be able to hang. And yeah, I'm excited to see this one. We're going to see really if Shakur is really that dude, and we're going to see if Schofield can really handle this test.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm with you. I don't have much to say. I think you said pretty much all of it. I'm gonna say this. Schofield is coming to fight. He's going to.
Mm-hmm.
He's not coming to run around the ring. He's gonna fight. Um, we'll see if Shakur defense is just too much for him. Um, Shakur is probably one of the best defensive fighters currently in the game.
I
Um,
agree.
and he's a good counterpuncher, but he's been reluctant to let his hands go. I hope that ain't the case this time because he's gonna have to let them hands go.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
gonna have to let
100%.
them hands. Yeah, he's gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
let them hands go. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'll
Schofield's going
leave
to bring
that
that
there.
fight to him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everything you said, I agree with it. I don't know who's gonna win. I think on paper, based on, um, again, I always go back to, what have you done? This is a what have you done for me lately kind of sport. So if I had to go back on paper, I'll probably give it to Shakur because of he has a bit more experience. He has that beautiful defense. But I'm not saying that Floyd can't win. He got will, heart, guts, and grit. You know what I mean? So anything can happen. Anything.
Are we taking predictions right now? Was that your prediction?
I mean, it's next week.
Was
I
that
mean,
your choice?
that's how.
Was that your
Oh no,
pick?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't for this particular. Okay, real quick. For this particular fight, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Shakur.
Okay.
For the last fight, Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker. I'm going Joseph Parker.
Ooh. Okay. You know, and I
I'm
give it. I'm
going
gonna
with
give it up, and so I give you that. You know what I mean? I
okay,
think we
right.
you know what I'm saying, for this
Yeah.
one,
Hmm.
for the Schofield Shakur fight,
Yeah.
I'm gonna shock a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm taking Schofield on the upset.
Yes, sir. I ain't shocked because we
I,
spoke about it before, but
yeah,
yeah, I
we
got
spoke
you.
about it, but I'm leaning that way. I
Yeah.
am leaning that way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then for the Daniel Dubois and
Mm.
Joseph Parker fight, I'm actually taking Dubois. I think it's his
Taking
time.
Dubois. Bet. Bet. That's dope. I'm with it, man. I like that. I like being on the opposite ends and we kind of see what ends up happening. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely with that. Let's move over to one more, and then we'll head to the main event. So let's move over to Virgil Ortiz versus Ezra Madrimov. Um, you want to set it off, or you want me to give a little background on this?
Um, you know what? Go ahead and get a little background on it.
Okay. Well, real
'Cause
quick,
it's been a
we
while
know
since they
that.
both been in the ring, honestly.
Yeah, and Well, here's the thing, especially with Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz, they had kind of teased us with a potential Boots fight.
Hmm.
Truth be told, we've saw many interviews. I just don't think Boots was ready for that fight. Um, Not saying
No,
that Boots would lose the fight. I just don't think he was ready for that fight. And that was a high risk fight. He wants to be unified champion. He wants to start collecting belts and things like that. And I don't think that um, Eddie Hearn, his team, thought that was
they
the
didn't
right.
feel he was ready.
No, and even if it wasn't about being ready, it wasn't the direction they wanted him to go. Big fight,
Hmm.
huge fight, but it wasn't necessarily the direction they wanted to go because again, a huge risk. We've seen his last couple of fights. There's been some what some people say chinks in the armor. There's been some issues there. And Virgil Ortiz absolutely has one punch knockout power. If you go in there trying to fight him in a phone booth, it could get ugly, right? But
100%.
you would, it's a potential fight that he could lose. Um, there's no belt on the line. You know what I mean? So a lot of things just didn't add up. Um, as far as Ezra Madrimov, you saw him against Bud Crawford. For a lot of people, he's kind of a unknown fighter. But when he fought against Bud, he, he was became on the radar, or got on the radar of a lot of people. I personally believe he won that fight. I thought he did enough. But I'm okay that he didn't win the fight. I thought it was that close, right? It was that close.
Hmm.
Um, with that being said, this is going to be a great fight. This is going to be a great fight. Big puncher against Madrimov, who used a lot of movement, a lot of awkward angles. You know what I'm saying? Hitting you at weird angles with his cross. Um, I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. What how do you feel?
That's one. You pretty much pointed out a lot of the key factors in this fight.
Yeah.
Obviously, Majimov, this is his pretty much like his big recognition fight.
Yeah.
Being able to get to fight a fighter like Virgil Ortiz,
Mhm.
especially coming off from fighting Bud Crawford, kind of like you said, put him on the radar.
Right.
Virgil Ortiz, this is another one to let people know, like, hey, I'm that guy. Like, put that
Right.
respect on my name. And you mentioned the Bud fight. It's a fight that people wanted to see, but again, I don't really think that should have happened at that time too. You know what I mean? Bud
Yeah.
needs to unify. Um, at the what was it, 147?
One
He's at
one
right
fifty
now.
four. 154.
Yeah, 154. So he's
Mm-hmm.
down there. Got to do work down there. But this fight here, one punch
Mm-hmm.
power. You may see another fight like how you saw Madrimov and Crawford.
Yeah.
Um, that type of battle. I think you're going to see a lot of phone booth action in this
Mm-hmm.
fight here. Virgil Ortiz, he got a. We're going to really see where he's at, but then we get to see Majimov bouncing back
Yeah.
to like, hey, yeah, I mean, it could go either way. But this fight, I'm
Mm-hmm.
highly excited for. Um, I don't even know who I would take in this fight, to be honest with you. I think
Yeah.
this one's going to definitely come down to decision, split decision.
Split decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. It's an interesting fight. It could, for me, it could go one or two ways. Virgil possibly by stoppage, possibly, or Madrimov taking him all 12. And when it, like you said, by if not a split decision. I can dig that. I'm gonna say this though. Again, if I have to base it on their last few performances, I feel like Madrimov performed better. But again, the competition is not necessarily the same. It's not necessarily.
Exactly.
So
And
with
don't
that,
sleep on Majimov power either. Yeah, I mean,
no,
he could still
no, he can
drop you
busy.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And with that being said, I'm going Madrimov. I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. I know it do. But Madrimov put on a great showing against arguably, not even arguably, the greatest fighter of this particular generation.
Hmm.
And a lot of, and I ain't gonna say a lot of people's eyes, but in some people's eyes, he beat him. I understand that this was his introduction to 154. I said that myself. I was saying that we may not have seen the best Bud Crawford because there's an adjustment period when you move up to a new weight class. But even still, it still was Bud Crawford. You know what I mean? And the way he performed against Bud was really good, really good. And you have to learn from that, right? You got to learn from those kind of fights. And if they really learn from that, took that into consideration, he's going to be not just a problem for Virgil, but for a lot of people. So with that being said, I'm going Madrimov.
You know what? I agree with you. Like I said, I think it's going to come down to the split decision.
Yeah.
I would side with Madrimov too, because
Mhm.
one of the things that I noticed especially when he fought Bud,
Mhm.
the shots to the body.
Mhm. Mhm.
Virgil Ortiz got a very high output,
Yeah.
and I think those body shots might end up slowing him down. So it's like, how long will he be able to keep that up with somebody who could possibly absorb his punch as well? Madrimov was able to handle those punches a lot. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's going to come down to that split decision. Sided with Madrimov on that.
Gotcha. Word. All right, moving on to the last one, not the last one on the card, but the main event on the card, which is Beterbiev versus Bivol 2, the rematch that everybody's been waiting for. Um, the first fight was excellent, in my opinion. Um, it brought a lot of eyes to the sport. It was a valiant effort from Bivol, who ended up losing that fight. But in a lot of people's opinion, if you go back now and you just check out different boxing pundits and coaches and stuff, a lot of people had Bivol winning that fight, me included. Me included. Me and you have the opportunity to kind of talk and speak on fight night and during
Yeah.
the fights and stuff like that. So you already know how I feel. I thought he did enough. He did enough earlier in that fight to carry him, but the judges saw it differently. Plus, Arthur Beterbiev mounted a beautiful comeback, especially at the end, where being a judge, it's tough. It's tough to really say, especially with the way he was coming back. Some of them rounds, especially in later rounds, he won clearly. Like it wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? It was some clear rounds in there. So we in for a great fight. We
Yeah.
in
100%.
for a fight. I give my quick prediction. I'm gonna throw it over to you. I'm gonna be done after this. I ain't got nothing else. Right? My quick prediction is that I believe Bivol will win this fight. I believe he understands that what he did, it worked, but it just wasn't enough, right? He's going to have to let his hands go a bit more, and he's going to have to, continue to box, continue to be cautious because we know Beterbiev has big power. But I think the strategy that they employed worked. They just needed more, right? Especially in the later rounds. So he's going to have to really push himself in the later rounds to continue with that kind of performance that he had earlier on. And I think that he wins this. On the flip side, I think Beterbiev understands that too. I think he understands that, he feels that he won clearly, but he understands that a lot of people may not feel that same way. I think that this time he's going to try to finish Bivol. I think he's going to try to knock him out. So we'll see. But I got Bivol for the win. I'm done. I ain't gonna talk no more about
I respect that. I respect that.
it.
I
Yeah.
had Better Beeve last time, and I'm taking Better Beeve again.
Oh man.
With history with the rematches, sometimes, but a lot of times when we
Right.
had a rematch fight, the
Mhm.
winner who won the first time normally
Yeah.
wins the second time.
True.
I would say recently with the
Steph.
cool boy Steph or
Mhm.
whatever. He was the only person that really bounced back and won the rematch
Right.
um, in the recent times. But exactly what you said, I think Bivol knows what he needs to do.
Yeah.
And on the first fight, we seen Better Beef pushing a lot.
Yeah.
He stood his ground. You didn't really see him fight on his back foot that
Yep.
much. Where a lot of the rounds where Bivol lost, he was fighting on his back foot.
Right.
So I think he's going to try to keep the pressure. But like you say, he's going to be cautious too, because with the knockout power that Beterbiev has, that'll put him in a dangerous position. Which, like you said, I think Beterbiev will try to put him down this time.
Yeah.
But he has to be cautious of that too, because he did get caught with a lot of great, flurries by Bivol in that fight that
Yeah.
kind of put him in trouble,
Yeah.
where it had him backing up. But like I say, he regrouped a lot quicker. So
Right.
I think Bivol is going to be in better condition for this fight to be able to apply that pressure. I think you're going to see a lot more with the pivot, him getting out of the corner, so he's not on that back foot all the time. But I really think we're going to see a better fight than probably the first time. But I'm still sided with Beterbiev on this one. How it's going to go, I think it still may go 12 rounds, but I
Yeah.
still think he comes off with the win.
It's just amazing that he performs at such a high level at 40 years old, man. It's
Yeah,
just incredible. It's kind of scary. Um,
he's
you
a
know,
warrior, bro.
yeah, and when you take care of yourself and you do the right stuff, man. In real life years, 40 is not old. In boxing years, it's old, because a lot of these dudes start boxing when they 10 years old, and you've been getting punched in the face from 10 to 30 something. So
Mhm.
that'll age you, but um it's just amazing that he's able to do what he does at 40 years old. And if he doesn't want, like, he don't have to retire. Like, retirement might not even be on his mind. Honestly, I don't know. I haven't read or seen anything about it, haven't even looked. But the way he looks, the way he still looks, he can carry on. He can continue on. So
Mhm.
yeah, man.
Quick question for you.
Yeah,
Would
go ahead,
you
man.
actually be surprised? Because I think we spoke about it last time when they fought.
Mm.
Would you be surprised to see a draw? Because I wouldn't have been surprised if it was a draw last time.
I would, for the rematch. I would be surprised for a draw. I would.
Okay.
The first fight could have been a draw. Could have been a draw. But I think both of them are going to push enough to where it does not become a draw. I think
Make it
somebody's going to
decisive.
lose this time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
think it's going to be a definitive loser in this one. First fight definitely could have been a draw. Second fight, I think both of them will come with it for sure. Yeah,
Feel
yeah,
you on that.
yeah, man. Yeah, that's all I
Mhm.
got, Joe. You got anything else for this?
Nah, hey y'all, check us out. Like he said last episode, we on Rumble now, so
Mm.
go check us out over there. Go check it, Impose My Will podcast out on TikTok. We on Instagram, Facebook, obviously on YouTube. Go to rockjones.bigcartel.com. Go check our merch. Get some teas. We're gonna have some more stuff popping up. You know what I mean? Tap in with us, man. Leave any comments. There's any questions that y'all got or something y'all want us to touch on or whatever. Hit us up. Give us a holler. Impose My Will podcast, y'all. It's another one.
Peace.